Welcome to the Queens of the DMV, Real Talk and Real Estate. Here with my co-host today, Arial Pegues.
Hey.
And Cher Castillo.
Hey.
And I'm Arnita Greene. Tune in every Thursday and subscribe on our YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. So we're going to get started today, ladies, with a new topic today. Today, we are discussing the truth about new construction.
And there's a lot of truths.
Yes, we are. It's a lot of truth. Yes.
There's a lot of tea also.
There's a lot of tea and truth. Yes, definitely. Ariel's going to get us started today.
Oh, am I? Okay.
Yes.
Well, given in our market right now, we're struggling with supply and demand. Mm-hmm. So we have, a situation where a lot of buyers are choosing new construction, whether it be their preference or, their home search is actually pushing them in that direction. But today we kind of want to touch on a little do's and don'ts and kind of things to look out for when choosing new construction. I will say I got licensed in 2006. This was another big boom where lumber and prices went up in that year. It was also the year that I went into real estate and I gravitated naturally towards new construction. At that time, I was a new sales agent, but I was also an on-site sales agent. There was a law that was passed at that time where on-site sales agents had to be licensed. So they were kind of ambushed with that law, and they had to contract my company at that time in 2006. It was called New Homes Realty. And I sat on-site with many of the builders that you all work with now, Ryan Homes, Toll Brothers, Lennar. We sat on site and wrote sales contracts for the builders. So we had a lot of experience with how to write sales contracts, new construction, because they are different from our state and mandated contracts that we use. We wrote those contracts. We also had a lot of insight on when and how to structure those contracts so that they worked out for the buyer's interest. A lot of people, walk into these situations and they don't walk in prepared. So today we're going to talk exclusively about how to be prepared for the new construction market. I will say the first and very foremost rule is what, Arnita, when you're walking into a new construction and you're a buyer?
You need to go in with your agent.
Bam, there you go.
That's right.
That's the biggest mistake that most buyers make nowadays.
I think a lot of buyers make that mistake and then call after the fact. Then it's a little too late.
Right. So I put it like this when I explain it to my clientele. Imagine being on trial for murder.
Oh God!
And you have no representation in her lawyer.
Look, her face even changed.
You're going to jail. You're going to jail. Okay. So it's a mindset when you're going into. You need someone to advocate for your best interest, because trust and believe, you do not know the process. You do not know what goes on behind closed doors. And that on-site sales agent is so sweet and nice, but let me just tell you, honey, they don't work for you.
No, but can you say that again? You say that scenario again, please.
Walking into a new construction model on a nice sunny Saturday or Sunday without your agent is like being on trial for murder and being found guilty. That's what it's like.
I love it. Bam.
With no lawyer, no representation. Okay, you getting represented by the state's attorney. Okay.
Yeah. By the builder, which is not going to represent you correctly.
Right. Because they just want to sell you the house, and they're so nice and awesome, and I do have some relationships with on-site sales agents, but let's just be real. They represent their employer, which is the builder.
Correct.
And they just want to get the inventory sold. It doesn't matter how.
Correct.
So, Ariel, in a situation like that where someone is coming in without representation, have you been in a situation before where they've signed the contract, and then now they received the contract, they're reviewing the contract, and they have no idea what this contract means, and now it goes ding, 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 I need an agent to review this contract with me, because they've seen multiple new build contracts and they know what to look for. And then how do you deal with that particular buyer coming to you at that point, now needing representation?
That's a very good question. I have come into some situations where they've already signed the contract, and that's a really sticky situation because most builders will require you to be at the first meeting with the buyer in order to get paid. And it's not, trust and believe it. I want to get paid. It's not all really about that, but they have their rules where they want you there on the first meeting. So I have had situations where the buyer is really desperate. They don't know what they've gotten themselves into, and they put up this enormous, lot premium and down payment where they're willing to pay out of pocket just so they can understand. And literally, we could have eliminated that had they just have, contacted me first before getting into this situation. Then I've also had to get, the EMD back or the down payment back because they want to cancel. So you have to really know what you're signing. Like I was saying before, when you're walking in there and you're signing paperwork, it's not the MAR contract. It's not the GCAR contract. It's the builder's contract. And literally there's no way out.
Yeah. And every builder's contract is different too.
Yeah. And you're signing your life away, literally. There's literally no recourse to cancel just about. And they have, most contracts state, and I know this is consistent because I used to work in exclusively for builders, that they have 2 years to build your house.
Yeah.
Imagine you waiting 2 years to have your house built. And, you just put up all this money.
Mm-hmm. So if you have an agent that's experienced in new construction, like yourself, they know how to maneuver those specific builder contracts.
I do. And I maneuver it, first of all, by knowing what the contract states. I try to be an advocate for my buyers as well. But I'm putting the press on. And how I do that, too, is I'm driving by that construction site weekly to provide pictures. I'm walking the property. I'm providing updates. I've had some buyers who haven't, they go in, they put the money down and they sign the contract, and they come for the pre-drywall and they come for the the construction meeting and the final walkthrough, and that's it. Well, I'm at your house weekly taking pictures and making sure that the items that you've upgraded and put into the contract are actually being installed in the home. I've had situations where they weren't. And the builder alternatively chosen, a second grade tile versus what you picked, and you paid, $1,500 extra for it. So these are the things that your agent is looking for that can catch prior to you coming to this final walkthrough and discovering that the flooring is incorrect.
Right.
So builders make mistakes, and if they will fix it quick and decide for you, if you don't have an advocate. Right. So these are the things that your agent is able to do for you. They're able to check and make sure that everything is built to scale. And what I mean to scale is to contract, what you signed and what you paid for. They're also going to help you make, sound decisions. Like, do we actually need this upgrade built into your mortgage? Maybe we don't need, certain things in the home, and you can get put in later, like a wet bar. Why would I pay $14,000 for a wet bar when I can get my man over here that can put in a wet bar for you for $5,000 and you're saving that money?
And that's why I usually say do the structural part.
Yes.
Definitely do the structural part. Inside, you could change that always, or get the basic refrigerator and get your upgraded, pay later to get your upgraded one or something like that. But I always say, do the outside structural part first.
Right. That's how you make it affordable.
Exactly. Correct.
Meaning, what you mean by that is permitting, like anything that would require a permit, or are you saying
like your bump outs or
that will tack onto your sales price and make your mortgage higher? Yeah. Maybe those are things that you do later. Like I've had some situations where we just don't finish the basement. Mm-hmm. We do it later. If you want to stay in this home, then we can plan out certain phases of the house to be finished to make it affordable.
But the only downside to that is that you can't finance that.
Right.
Yeah.
Eventually, maybe you can take out a home equity line of credit. There's certain you can be fancy with it. But yeah, I mean, that's the only downside. But sometimes you don't need to finance a speaker system because they want to sell you an intercom. They want to sell you, Vivint or whatever security system. All of that stuff is financed. You might not need to do that. Yeah. You might not need to finance the countertop and cabinets.
Well, one of the misconceptions that I see a lot with some of my buyer clients that are looking into new construction is that somehow they believe that the builder's agent is going to be representing them equally.
Right.
False.
A big false.
That they are going to get a further discount for using the builder's agent. I don't understand either rationale, but I think, we're in the business, so we're savvy, so we get it. But your everyday buyer may not understand that about new construction. They're thinking, well, the $10,000 that they would be paying the buyer's agent in commission can be used as a credit or towards their down payment or what have you. So I've had many situations and some friendships, where they're like, oh, my bad. I didn't call you because I wanted a discount on purchasing the property. And they ended up probably paying more for the property because I would have advised them, like both of you ladies, where you said, wait to do the build out of the basement. It's going to cost $20,000 less if you use, someone outside of the builder, what have you. So there are a lot of misconceptions that a new buyer may have, especially a new buyer for new construction. That's why it's our job to really be out here and educate them on what's true and what's not true.
And I've actually heard someone called me and told me that the sales associate told them if they don't use an agent, they'll give them this.
I've heard that as well.
And I said, what? They can't do that. Or, and they shouldn't do that. Actually, maybe they probably can do it, but they shouldn't do that because when you think about it, but she should have been represented correctly with us being there with her, because then they forgot to even add something on for her at the very end, that I could have been fighting on her behalf. So, this is why I say that you really should be represented by an agent.
Absolutely.
Whether the sales associate tell you you do not have to be. It's not true. It's
you don't save money by not using an agent. As a matter of fact, using an agent is free. You don't have to use an agent. And just so everybody knows,
not with me.
Most of the builders don't pay us the amount. What'd you say, Cher?
I said, speak for yourself, not with me.
Well, as far as what?
Commission.
Well, yeah. So I mean, to tread lightly, a lot of the because commission is, but a lot of the builders don't pay what we should be paid in a transaction, just so as a consumer. But also, at the end of the day, the builder is paying the commission minus whatever your agent says. But the point is, they don't actually pay what should be paid. And the reason is to deter buyer's agent representation.
Well, and I'd like to really get into that because there are two things that the buyers really need to understand, because new build new construction with the builders specifically, and I'll call them out, but like Ryan Homes, and they're set $5,000 commission on $600,000-$700,000 property, and the buyer expectation is that we're just going to take this $5,000 because that's what
because we're working with you for a year. It's going to take them 9 to 12 months to build this house, and I'm driving back and forth. That's just paying for gas.
And my buyer agency agreement is going to say 3% commission. So you can deduct that $5,000 from that 3%, but I'm still going to get paid 3%. It's really important to explain why, because a lot of times it's shocking to see and have those conversations. Conversation I have in my buyer agency, my buyer presentation in the beginning, whether it's new construction or not, or resale, but there is value in having someone represent you that is very experienced and very savvy. And like in any field, we do not want to be discounted for our value. And I can't speak for you ladies, so I will just speak for myself, but I am not going to accept a $5,000 commission from Ryan Homes when I know that I'm giving $17,000 worth of service. So that's an important conversation to have up front with your buyer if that's where you stand on that, because it can be very shocking to have to come out of pocket that much.
And let me give you an example. And this literally closed last month. My client, she was under contract with Pulte Homes, and we wrote in, let's say May, and she was ready to move. She got tired of them. They still haven't started her house as of last month.
Wow.
So how long has she been under contract?
Since May. And she
May of last year?
Yes, of the summer, yes.
They got 2 years to build the house.
That's right. But she was ready to go. He called me and said, Arnita, I want to go see this house. I said, well, we on the contract. She was like, at this point, I'm ready to go. They can keep the $10,000. I said, well, no, they're not going to keep the $10,000. We're going to fight for the $10,000. Went under contract with another house, got it the first house we went to go see. A month later, got her $10,000 back.
That's awesome.
Your agent, whoever you're working for, I hope that your agent fights for you to get you your money back. Now, it might not happen like this all the time, but it's our job to fight for our clients. Whether we can get it or not, you have to do what you have to do. And if you're represented correctly, then you should be able to get that back. But some builders will not give it back. I promise you, Ryan Homes will probably not give it back at all. You'll probably be in litigation for a while. But sometimes we can do it if you push for it. So that's what Cher means and Arial means about fighting on your behalf and representing you and getting paid what we should get paid, because this is what we do as agents. Period.
Right. And we say and our goal and what we're working towards is saving the buyer's money. So my scenario is, I had a home build. I'm not going to say the builder because of the situation. Mm-hmm. But it turns out that the property had mold. How I was able to remedy the situation is because I suggested a third-party inspection. For all buyers, the builders have county inspections that they have to pass in order to give occupancy or to issue a use and occupancy, permit. The property got a use and occupancy permit. However, it had mold in the basement. There was some water intrusion due to the grading, but there was a little bit back and forth between buyer and builder to where there was a loophole where I could get my buyers out of the contract based on the condition of the property. Although the builder was willing to remedy, it was the series of events, if you will, that occurred to the point where, how did this use and occupancy pass with this mold in the basement? So you have to know where the loopholes are, which most buyers don't. We know because we read contracts on a daily basis. But imagine moving into that home and closing on that home, and you're getting sick, and there's some health issues due to black mold in your property.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to step in before this settlement and have this inspection done for this discovery. And so I saved my buyers essentially a lot of money based on the condition and what was going on in the home. And, later, just a headache later on dealing with this, because you'd have to gut out that whole basement and start over on a black mold situation. So
a lot of times, buyers have been told by the sales offices that they don't need another inspection because this is a new build, and
no. New builds have flaws. They do. They just do.
But a buyer that hasn't been through this process before, if you're hearing, oh, it's a new property, oh, it's a new build, like they have to build to county standards or to state standards or what have you, they're not going to do anything wrong. Of course, they're going to believe that and say, of course, it's brand new, it's going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
When their agent would be advising them, no, I mean, been there, done that. We've seen new bills with a hell of a lot of problems before.
Sure have.
Sometimes more so than old, yeah, sometimes more than these old DC houses that were built in 1912. Some of these new builds have more problems than those homes do. But they're just not savvy, and they're not educated on the process, and they're trying to save money, and they've been led down a road where they've been advised to just get a discounted price on the home, and it's a new house, so they don't have to do a home inspection or a third-party inspection. So these are really important things for new buyers, especially new buyers that are looking at new construction, to consider as they go down this road.
Super important. And also, the money that you put down. I'm seeing an increase in builders asking for a substantial amount of money down payment before they break ground on the home, which I believe, yes, there's some skin in the game for the builder, but how much is too much? And then lot premiums through the roof, and you have no yard.
Exactly.
All kinds of outlandish.
I just think that's crap anyway. I think that's crap. Back when we first started, they weren't asking for lot premiums.
Right.
The past probably 8 years, they've probably been asking for it. I just think it's just another way for them to get money. To me, it could go towards their cost of, the prices going up on lumber. That's what they
can pay us.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, there's so many things that could take place with that. Yeah. I mean, I've seen some lot premiums, and I'm like, why?
Yeah.
This person's house is touching the next door neighbors. What is the lot premium for?
Exactly. So
exclusive lots, like, really sought after lots, I can understand it. You have nobody behind you, a lot of privacy, trees. I get it, but some of these lot premiums, I'm like, this is just an extra, fee that's being tacked on. You have to beware. And one of the other things I wanted to touch on too, ladies, is what do you think about the requirement or the request to use the builder's preferred lender?
That's funny that you asked that. That's a question that I had written down as well, because whether it's a title company or the lender, there's incentives there, but do the incentives outweigh the protection? Because are you really being protected? And I actually had this happen with a close friend of mine. They decided that the lenders that I had advised them to get pre-approved with were not pre-approving. And I was like, well, they're not pre-approving you for a reason. That means you need to wait until you're qualified. Well, she decides that she's going to go into new construction, get pre-approved with the lender. The lender approves her on the spot, which I knew was going to be a disaster. goes through the entire process, deposits everything, and we get down a year later, we think we're going to closing, and she didn't make it out of underwriting. Because she wasn't really approved. They just did a spot approval on the spot.
Is this with the builder's lender or outside lender?
The builder's lender.
Okay.
You know, because I think it's a lot easier to get approved with the builder's lender.
And they approve you.
They're real flexible. They're
very flexible because they're taking your money and that first deposit's there. And there were so many other things that happened down that road with, you know, their set deposits, and they said that I have to do this and I have to do that. And I'm like, well, no, you don't. Like, you know, you can negotiate a lot more. I mean, people don't even realize you can negotiate deposit schedules. They just think whatever is said at that meeting, on that first meeting, is set in stone. But it's all about negotiating. You can negotiate.
Right, and your agent is the best one for that scenario. Yeah. It's neutral. Exactly. You don't have to talk directly to the seller. Leave the negotiation to your agent. That's what we're hired to do. That's what we're trained to do. That's what we know how to do.
Yeah. And there also, you know, now there are a lot of things that you need to expect when you're going into these new homes, meaning you need to have down payment. You do. Stanley Martin wants 5% down. No ifs, ands, or buts. Now, you can break that up a little bit, and that's with some communities, but some of them you have to pay the entire 5%, you know, when you're writing the contract. You know, some builders aren't taking any contracts if you have to sell a house.
Mm-hmm.
Now that is a way we can get around that too. I don't want to talk about that, but
that's the expertise part of it.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. You know, if you have to sell a property, talk to us after this is over with, and we'll tell you what you can
do about that. Yes.
Exactly. But you know, there's different ways to get around things. You just have to have your agent represent you correctly. You know, and DR Horton, they're doing highest and best, y'all.
Highest and best
in Gainbros, Maryland. They're doing highest and best.
Wow.
Believe it. Once they release the lots, if it's multiple people for that lot, they want highest and best. I could not believe it. I went 2 weeks ago. I said, huh? She said highest and best.
So wait, what does that actually mean? So that means, let's say the houses are priced at $600,000 and there's only one unit left. That means whoever's on the wait list has to bring in an offer above the $600,000.
That's correct, Cher. I could not believe it. That is correct.
That's called taking advantage of your situation.
Yep. And they do, what I do love about DR Horton though, they make spec homes only. They don't, they're building all of their homes. And then when they're almost ready, now what I don't like is that they're doing highest and best.
Yeah, they have a quicker delivery than most builders because they already start on the home. You really don't get to pick out much, and they don't have much to choose from. But the caveat is they deliver. It's basic, but they're going to deliver the home faster than most builders because they've already started on it by the time you get to see it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they're doing that out here in highest and best out here in Upper Marlboro. I mean, what's that right over there by Jasper's? Those townhouses. But I do know they're doing it out in Gainbros.
Yeah, I've been over there in a couple months.
Yeah.
But one other thing you should expect too, and I don't know if you were going to add this on, but be prepared to pay for your upgrades. Put 10% down on your upgrades. Mm-hmm. So if you go on there and be cute and get the highest tile, the level 3, and then the engineered hardwood and all this cuteness and cabinets and all of that, nice. However, your $100,000 upgrades that you just went up on this property, we're going to need 10%.
Yeah.
So
and it is
that's another expense that you need to calculate in this process.
Right.
You know, like, does it make sense? Right. Because for me, I can sell an interior unit or, you know, a corner lot with less upgrades for the same amount of money that you paid in upgrades in this nice house.
Yeah.
It's just all about how you go about it. So really it's, you know, calculating kind of deciding what's actually necessary right now. Is it going to make their appraisal when you upgrade all this stuff? And then, where do you go from there?
Right. Yeah. So definitely it definitely is a seller's market now. So you have to go in with your agent at all times. And that's another thing. So just like we said in the beginning, so if you are considering new construction, please let us know or your agent know that you're going there before. And even if we can't make it, let us be able to give them a call to let them know that you're coming. So we can still represent you on on the back end. We'll definitely be there with you, but sometimes it's crazy out here right now. So sometimes we can't make it. But guess what? I'm definitely going to call that agent in the beginning and let them know that my client is coming to see the property.
And that's really important that you said that, Arnita, because a lot of times, I know, and I have a lot of agent friends, and they get upset with their family members and friends for not knowing certain things, but people really just don't know. Like, they don't know that they have to go, or they should be going into a sales office and saying that they already have an agent or they will be working with an agent. They just don't know. And, I had a sorority sister say the other day, like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I wasn't allowed to have two agents at the same time. And in my mind, I was like, really? But she seriously just thought, okay, well, if you have a house listed and you have a house listed, I should be able to work with both of you. Whoever I decide to buy the house from is who I buy the house from. Not realizing there's contractual obligations and people are entering into buyer agency agreement with one exclusive agent. But it's really important for us as realtors to not assume that the average buyer knows all the rules, right? We have to really treat it as a basic situation and like they know nothing. I mean, most buyers are very savvy, but there is a certain population that's just not hip to the game, and we need to be considerate of that so they do know what to do when they are in these situations.
Definitely. Yep. So in closing, ladies, let's give at least 5 nuggets of wisdom for new construction.
So I think we already said one. My number one rule or my first nugget would be to make sure that you have an agent.
Definitely.
When you're walking into these new construction properties. That's nugget number one.
Well, I'll take nugget number 2, and I don't know if you guys will agree or disagree with me, but I always say not only do I review the contract, but I actually have an attorney review the builder's contract for me. And that's part of the service that I personally provide. I don't expect a client to pay for that, but I will pay that additional fee because I've just seen too many things go wrong on these builder contracts that, as savvy as I am and as experienced as I am, that I'm not an attorney. So a real estate attorney is going to pick up on different things, and it's no different than a commercial client. I advise my commercial clients, yes, I'll review the lease for you. Yes, I'll review a specific contract for you, but I'm also going to advise you to have an attorney review that as well.
So
I love that.
The only reason that I don't do that is because I'm so familiar with the contracts. Like for Ryan Homes, I know it back to back because I do so many with them. Stanley Martin, I know it back to back. I've done so many with them. But I remember contacting you about a DC condo. And I looked at it and I was like, what the hell, Cher? And you said, nope, contact an attorney. And I did just that. And I sent it over because I had no idea of what was going on in that contract.
But I actually thought up, just not to interrupt you, but I thought the same thing. I had seen the Ryan Homes contract so many times and that I would know, what to look for and what to expect. But when they make changes on that contract, they don't always tell you.
Yeah. Yep. That's the part.
So that's the other thing. Like you really you may think you know, but there's sometimes unless you have someone at the sales office that's very upfront and said, "Oh, we added, this particular clause or whatever to the contract," or you're just that thorough that you saw that new paragraph that was added and the language that was added. I just rather be safe than sorry. Or, when you get in the big leagues, people like to sue you. So I just, and whether it's the client getting mad at me or, whatever the scenario is, I like to avoid all that. So if there's a third party that's kind of triple checking for us, that's a better scenario for me.
Definitely. Yeah. And I would say a number 3 nugget is to ask questions. I have no problems with answering questions, before you sign anything, before you buy anything, before you pick those flooring, before you, ask the
read
questions.
the fine print and ask questions.
Yes, definitely.
Yes. Yeah. So number 4, I would say hire your third party, inspections, or hire your third parties to go behind the builder. It's super important because builders are not perfect. We understand it's a brand new home. That does not mean that there are no flaws. Therefore, get inspections, hire third parties to go behind the builder to ensure that everything is to contract on what you contracted on.
No matter the cost.
No matter the cost.
It will save you money in the long run. I
promise. Sleep. Save you money and sleep. You'll be able to rest well knowing that you've had a third party check behind certain things on the process. So that's number 4.
Do we have a number?
Want to go for the last one? Oh, go ahead, Cher.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, really consider, the last one would be consider your financing. Because although you may be getting a $10,000 or $15,000 credit to close with the builder's lender, that's not necessarily the best scenario for you. Sometimes the rates may be a little higher. Sometimes there's hidden fees, and you're ending up paying more with the builder's lender than you are with a private lender. So really look at the overall picture when you're looking at choosing your lender. Is this the best lender for my particular situation? And if you are truly saving $10,000 and you're crediting that to the overall cost and your interest rate's really low, then fantastic. But if you're looking at the fine print and at the end of the day, you're paying more than you were even anticipating paying, then that may not be the best scenario for you.
Right.
Sorry.
So basically what Cher's saying is to check all of your resources and shop for your rate, even though the builder is offering this incentive, because the incentive of what you're being offered could be maximized greater than what you're being offered at that time.
Plus, at the end, I've seen it happen too many times that the builder might match what the other one is doing. So they might be able to give you, if you let them know what your rate is for one, they might go ahead and give you a better rate. So play both of them against each other. It's done.
And see, that's the problem I have, because I know we're doing nuggets, but this is the issue that I have. Why wasn't that offered from the beginning?
I agree.
Why do I have to go outside to show you what somebody else can do in order for you to meet me in the middle of the road? This is what your agent is here for. We know, we see rates every day. We know what's available out here. So when we get something and we know it's not up to par, we can let you know. However, consumer, you may not know what the rates are and what you can be offered. So therefore, again, I can't say it enough. Consult a realtor, get a realtor on your side so that you can get these savings and get the benefit of, the proper process.
Bingo.
Well, that's it, ladies. We gave them the nuggets. Now they got to figure out what to do with them.
Love it.
Hire us. That's what you do.
That's right.
Well, as always, we thank our audience for tuning in every Thursday to the Queens of the DMV. Ladies, we're signing off until next time. This is Cher Castillo.
Arnita Greene.
And Arial Pegues.
And please support us by subscribing to the podcast, not just watching. You can subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify, and follow us on Instagram at Queens of DMV. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.